In Venezuela, the Command of Venezuela Toda campaign continues with the deployment and the promotion of activities in support of the consultative referendum in defense of the Guyana Essequibo. Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva launched the debt renegotiation program for low-income families. And the U.S.-Canada border crossings near Niagara Falls were closed on Wednesday as terrorism investigators responded to a vehicle explosion at Rainbow Bridge. Hello, welcome to TeleSUR English. I am Estefania Bravo from the headquarters of Quito in Ecuador. This is from the south. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro led a meeting with the cadets of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces in defense of the Essequibo. The purpose of the activity was to discuss the historical and legal reasons why Guyana Essequibo belongs to Venezuela. And in Venezuela, the Command of the Venezuela Toda campaign continues with the deployment and promotion of activities in support of the consultative referendum in defense of the Guyana. The Essequibo, a meeting point was an event held on Wednesday by the state of Cojedes with the attendance of the state's political personalities and several popular sectors of the country that are mobilized to struggle for the nation's sovereignty.
We have noticed that good Venezuelan women and men do not stop to ask what political party are you in or who you are with. As when that song by a former Democratic Action presidential candidate, who are you with, comrade?
No.
Nobody's asking that question. The right question is, how am I useful?
La pregunta que vale es, ¿cómo soy útil? ¿Para qué soy útil?
What am I useful for? In this struggle, the most beautiful one we have waged for the recovery of the Guyana Essequibo,
para la recuperación de la Guayana Esequiba.
Let the people with this vote demand respect. The time is to demand respect.
Es tiempo de exigir respeto.
On the other hand, Rodriguez rejected all the measures adopted by the Peruvian authorities against the Venezuelan football team.
To express our deepest rejection and condemnation of the way our national football team has been treated in the Republic of Peru. It is unacceptable. It's simply trash what they are doing. The government of Peru has to respond. CONMEBOL has to respond. It has to guarantee the right conditions for our athletes. Enough for xenophobia. Enough for sexist comments against our women in Peru.
Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva launched a debt recognition program for low-income people. The head of state initiated the social project with the objective of increasing the economy through consumption. The program processes that the government will facilitate the renegotiation of overdue debts of up to 5,000 Brazilian reals. In Brazil, the first South American meeting of political dialogue and defense dialogue was held in Brasilia with the participation of representatives of several countries. The meeting took place behind closed doors at the headquarters of the Foreign Ministry of the Asian Giant, where the participants analyzed the current challenges in the region and the promotion of cooperation in the area of security. The U.S.-Canada border crossings near Niagara Falls were closed on Wednesday as terrorism investigators responded to a vehicle explosion at Rainbow Bridge. According to local authorities, 2 still unidentified people were killed in the blast, while the cause of the incident is still under investigation. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said state police and the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force were monitoring all points of entry into the state. On the other hand, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said the explosion at the Niagara Falls, Canada border crossing represents a, quote, very serious situation.
I can confirm that the borders have been closed at Rainbow Beach, Whirlpool Bridge, Queenstown Bridge, and Peace Bridge. Additional security measures are being implemented at all our borders crossings across the country. It's a very serious situation, but we are going to stay committed to it throughout the day.
Based on preliminary investigations, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said there was no evidence yet of a terrorist attack and referred to the incident as horrific.
But at this time, we just need to dial down the temperature right now. And that's what I plan to do as governor. Just let everybody know. All is well. We're investigating. More information could arise, but based on the preliminary investigation, no sign of terrorist involvement in the horrific explosion that occurred here in Western New York.
We're taking our first break now. Join us again after this, but also don't forget to follow us on our TikTok account for more news. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Argentina, after the election that proclaimed Javier Milei as the future president of the country, some trade union sectors held assemblies to discuss internally their positions in relation to the announcements made by the president-elect about cuts in public spending and privatizations in the state sector. Let's see what different union secretaries say in the following report by our correspondent Santiago Corey.
The first statements made by President-elect Javier Milei were against the workers, with threats of massive layoffs that jeopardized the employment of thousands of Argentinians.
We said that we have to give value to the state, not eliminate it, so that this country can really return to being the power that this right wing or ultra-right wing says it wants to be. The truth is that we are very sad. We are very tired because we are being fighting for our wages, for our salaries for years, and now we have to fight for our jobs as well. So we are thinking about how we're going to respond to the attacks that this ultra-right wing has against us, and how we're going to solve it.
The State Workers Association rejects the announcements and declares a state of permanent assembly in all the agencies of the National Public Administration, as well as in the provincial and municipal states.
We need to plan urgently to be able to withstand the attacks that the next government of Javier Milei is going to propose to Argentine society, and particularly to us as workers of state, because it is already clear that the first thing is stated and confirmed. It is he will close state companies, that he will close public media, and the truth is that we have already lived a part of this story with the Macrismo. And we understand that we have to attack quickly.
From the State Employees Union, we declare ourselves in a state of alert and mobilization. We are on our way to a massive plenary meeting on Monday and a mobilization on Thursday in defense of jobs, to demand job stability and to demand that our society does not lose a single right.
The Buenos Aires Press Workers Union also met after Milei's promise to privatize the Telam news agency, public television and national radio.
Press workers need to stress the importance of private and public media to strengthen democracy and to guarantee the diversity of voices. So we are going to be present highlighting the importance and the need for this to exist in our democracy.
3 days before the elections and prior to the swearing-in of the new government, other sectors are expected to take a position on the adjustments promises made by Milei.
Santiago Corey, TeleSUR, Argentina.
humanitarian agencies of the United Nations warned of a possible tragic increase in child deaths in Gaza and a massive outbreak of diseases due to the lack of basic medical services. The United Nations Children's Fund warned that if the restrictions on access to water and sanitation in Gaza continue, there will be a tragic but totally avoidable increase in the number of children dying every day. In this regard, the Commissioner of the UN Refugee Agency, Philippe Laracini, warned about the precarious sanitary conditions in which the Palestinians live and the threat of an increase in the number of diseases.
I have also been explained the important increase of skin disease, which is not surprising when we see the unsanitary condition people are living in. But now winter is coming. People are lacking everything. We have water in the street. And I have been warned that we are on the eve of a waterborne disease outbreak. And this needs absolutely to be prevented.
In this context, the United Nations organization warned that the Israeli siege is promoting the largest forced displacement of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip since 1948. According to the United Nations Relief and Public Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, the impact of the siege against the Palestinians in Gaza is incalculable. Our collaborator in Gaza, Mohammed El Saif, spoke to local residents about their hopes concerning the truce. Residents experts say a complete ceasefire that will allow them to return to their homes.
We hope that there will be a truce and that the people will return to their homes and that the situation will stabilize. We expect that, on this truce, a longer-lasting truce will be built for the people to be able to do so. We are tired. The people are tired. We're losing more people every day. We lose children, young people. Every day we bury people. That's why I hope that the truce will turn into a complete ceasefire and that the people will go back to their homes to be able to rebuild Gaza in spite of everything that happened. We will return again, with God's permission. I hope that it will be a lasting truce. We thank Qatar and the Arab countries for supporting us in this tragedy where children are dying every day. There are bombings every day.
The president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, assured that he will denounce before international organizations the possession of nuclear weapons by Israel. The Turkish head of state detailed that he will present evidence of the existence of an atomic bomb in the possession of the Tel Aviv regime to the United Nations Organization and the International Atomic Energy Agency. We're taking our last break now, but before this, we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on your screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Stay with us. Welcome back. A virtual G20 summit began on Wednesday. Participants discussed the main outcomes and action points of the New Delhi summit and its progress. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the meeting. The leaders of all G20 member countries, including the presidency of the African Union, as well as 9 guest nations and the heads of 11 international organizations, were invited to the event.
In the West Asia region, the situation of insecurity and instability is a matter of concern for all of us. Our coming together today is a symbol of the fact that we are sensitive to all issues and stand together to resolve them.
In his speech at the G20 summit, Russian president stressed that Russia is fulfilling its obligations in the area of food security.
Russia fulfills all its obligations in this area and remains one of the largest exporters of food. And today I want to inform you that the first ships with Russian grain have been sent to Africa to the countries in need for free.
President Putin also highlighted the impact of conflicts due to the deaths they generate, actions that, in his opinion, should not be normalized.
I understand that this is a war. Human losses cannot but shock. But isn't the bloody coup in Ukraine in 2014, followed by the war of the Kiev regime against its people in Donbass, shocking? Isn't today's extermination of the civilian population in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip, shocking?
Finland's government announced the shutdown of all but one border crossing with Russia amid an increase of arrivals in migrants from the Middle East and Africa that Helsinki say is being orchestrated by Moscow. According to Finnish officials, border guards and soldiers began erecting concrete barriers topped with barbed wire at some crossing points to better control the influx of migrants. Authorities say some 600 migrants without proper visas and documents have arrived so far in November compared to a few dozen in September and October.
We are aware of the situation on the eastern border, and that is why last week we decided to close 4 border posts in southeast Finland.
Nämä toimet nyt ei valitettavasti kuitenkaan ole pystyneet pysäyttämään tätä ilmiötä. Päinvastoin itärajalla on
That action was decisive. Unfortunately, however, these actions have not been able to stop this phenomenon. On the contrary,
ja pohjoiseen raja-asemille riittää ja polkupyörien rajan ylittämiseen löytyy. Venäjän viranomaiset eivät ole toimintaan puuttuneet, päinvastoin.
On the eastern border, there are increasing signs that the situation is still going to get worse, and to the east and north there are already enough paths to the border stations, and there is a way to cross the border.
Sisäiseen tilanteeseen ja rajaturvallisuuteen.
The Mediterranean and the number of migrants deaths has doubled compared to 2017. International medical organizations issued a statement detailing that as of September of this year, at least 2,000 children and adults have disappeared or lost their lives on the central Mediterranean migratory route. In the Netherlands, the far-right anti-Islam party of firebrand politician Geert Wilders has won the Dutch election exit poll suggested Wednesday, a political earthquake that will be felt far beyond the country's borders. The PVV Freedom Party won 35 seats in parliament, according to the Ipsos exit poll, comfortably winning the election with the center-right bloc only 23 seats and a left-wing bloc of 26. We're taking our last break now. Join us again after this. But before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We're pleased to share our newscast and contribute to alternative views around the world. You can find these and other stories on our website and also on our social media. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Estefania Bravo. See you next time.